Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, like, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucamus Prime here, so it's time for the next episode of my series of video games that deserve sequels. And today's going to be quite a big example, I can say, of a game that deserves sequels, because this is actually a game which I've actually been thinking of ideas for a sequel to myself, and I've actually written down an idea for. It's once again a LEGO video game, and this one's a very unique game because it's one of those first LEGO games to feature multiple franchises in one, in like a multiverse style. And of course, where the characters are brought to life using a Toys to Life feature, being of course the Toy Pad. And as you probably guessed by, of course, that clue I just gave, the game which I'm going to be covering, which I would love to see a sequel to, is none other than 2015's LEGO Dimensions. So, you guys are probably going to ask me, of course, what do I think of LEGO Dimensions? Well, I can remember pretty well that this was one of my most anticipated LEGO games of all time, and I can confidently say after playing it that it's definitely, in my opinion, one of the greatest LEGO games of all time. I think it's an absolutely phenomenal game with a great roster of characters from many different franchises. And I think it's absolutely awesome with a great story as well. And I think it's just, in my opinion, a brilliant game. It's also probably the game I spent the most money on out of the LEGO games I've bought, because not only, of course, did I have to get, of course, the starter pack, which includes the game and the starter figures and the Batmobile vehicle and the toy pad. I also, as well, had to, of course, buy the other characters too, because they came in separate sets, which you put on the toy pad to bring to life into the game itself. So think of it as like a LEGO version of things like Skylanders or Disney Infinity, that sort of thing, really. But in my opinion, it did it really well. And I'm also say again, in my opinion, does a much better multiverse job than today's multiverse stuff, absolutely. So, it's definitely one of my favourite games of all time. So, on the topic of why I'd love to see a sequel to this game then, so, as you guys will be aware, the game ends with a pretty cool cliffhanger where, on what's left, of course, of Foundation Prime, where the game's villain Lord Vortek, of course, lives, who is voiced by absolute legend Gary Oldman, we, of course, see an unknown LEGO figure go into what appears to be a piece left behind of Lord Vortek after he was defeated. The figure touches the piece and then gets corrupted, and then of course, after that, we then hear Lord Vortek's laugh, which of course implies that he's set to return in a sequel. When it comes to my idea of a sequel, there's lots of things I've come up with, and I'd like to share them on this video. So this game, I'd probably love to call LEGO Dimensions 2 Battle of a Multiverse. And this would be a game which does everything the first game did, but in my opinion, bigger. The only thing I'd probably take out from the first game is probably the Toys to Life feature and make it be a game itself, really. That's what I'd do. And in terms as well of what kind of characters I'd include, well, if you guys were to ask me how many worlds or universes I'd include in this game, then the only answer I can say is infinite. Like, think of this sequel as being like, say, the No Man's Sky of this franchise, really. Think of it as No Man's Sky, but in LEGO form, where you have lots of universes to explore, which are generated for you to visit. And with lots of beloved fan-favorite characters as well. Lots of them from every universe, basically. So, that would, of course, allow more freedom in terms of who you can play as, because I didn't really like how the first game only had like a limited roster from each franchise. I was hoping you could play as lots of characters, but I still love the first game more. But in the sequel, I'd definitely include more characters. And when it comes as well to a story, the story would also be different, because while the first game featured 3 main characters in the story mode, being Batman, Gandalf and Wildstyle, this time I'd make sure the stakes are much higher this time by having to acquire a much bigger dimensional team to stop this new crisis. So I would bring back Lord Vortek as the main villain, and because he wants revenge on the heroes, he wants to wipe them out using a powerful device that he's created called the Wipeout device. And he would use the foundation elements from the universes he collected from in the first game, but he'd also collect elements from them to build the device too. So basically more elements. And also elements from the universes not from the first game's Crisis. So that would, of course, allow the introduction of other universes, basically. And as a result of this, of course, a hero would have to be recruited from each universe to stop Vortek, basically. That's what it is, really. So each universe would have a hero in the team to defeat Vortek. And that doesn't mean that they only play with all characters, because I'd also make sure every character from each universe is also playable too as well. That's what I do. Basically, the biggest LEGO game ever is what I would do. And when it comes to a game's voice cast, a lot of the game would feature lots of characters with the actors reprising their roles, because I'd want the game to be as authentic as possible to, of course, the franchises which are included in the game, really, and be faithful to them. So that's why I'd bring back lots of actors. Obviously, of course, when it comes to actors, we've unfortunately lost, rest in peace to them. I can't bring them back, of course, which is a big shame. So what I do is I would, of course, use voice actors who do a brilliant job sounding like the original actors out of respect to them, really, because I'd want the characters to sound like the original actors as much as possible. And of course, can help continue their legacy, really. So that being said, I would personally not use an AI voice for characters, really, because I personally not really a fan of AI voices, because in my opinion, they don't really work compared to actual human voices, so my game's cast would not feature robots. An example of this would be the case of, say, the Richard Donner universe version of Superman. He would, of course, be in the game as a main character, and because we sadly lost Christopher Reeve way too soon, rest in peace to Christopher Reeve, that means him reprising his role for this game would be deemed impossible because we lost him way too soon. So, that's why, instead of using an AI voice, I would bring back Brandon Routh. Because in my opinion, he does a great job playing Superman, and in my opinion, and does a great job playing the Christopher Reeve version in particular, because in my opinion, he's very close to him, and I'd bring him back for this game. And I'd also, as well, I'll make sure the game treats the characters with absolute respect as well from each universe as well. I wouldn't mistreat them like that, no chance. Because I feel that in several more versus ones recently, they have, in my opinion, ruined quite a lot of characters, which really breaks my heart. So that's why I'd make sure that they're treated with utmost respect in this game. Out of respect, of course, for characters, their creators, and the actors who play them. That's what I do, really. And I'd make sure they all get to play a big part in the game. Because while I'd feature, of course, the biggest cast of LEGO characters ever, I'd make sure they all get to play a big part in the game. Absolutely. No matter what capacity that they're in, small or big, I'd make sure they have a role in the story. Absolutely. So, and it would all of course, result in each hero getting the right elements from each universe, collecting them, and then rebuilding the Wipeout device from scratch, because Vortex would destroy it to stop the heroes reversing his evil plan. Once it's rebuilt, the heroes would activate it to bring back their friends who've been disintegrated by our device, because the device wipes out the heroes from each universe, apart from the heroes who get recruited, basically, because they, of course, get saved from the blast. And once everyone is restored, it all ends in an epic final battle between the heroes and Vortex and all the villains he's recruited, because at the start of the game, he recruits the villains from every universe to join him, basically. So he'd have a massive army of villains too from every universe as well. That's what I do. I'd make it the biggest LEGO roster ever, heroes and villains alike. And that's why I would definitely have lots of fun doing. So it would probably be, in my opinion, the biggest LEGO game ever, and I would love to see that happen, absolutely. So I'd bring out lots of beloved characters as from the first game, and I'd make sure it'd be lots of fun throughout. And open worlds would also return as well, because like I said, the game will be inspired by No Man's Sky, in that sense, really, with lots of universes. And also when it comes to LEGO Star Wars Galaxy Saga's planets, you can explore. It'd be similar to that as well, with universes, basically, with lots of puzzles, side quests, and other side missions, you name it. All of them would be in the game, absolutely. I want to give you guys as much content as possible in this game if I made LEGO Dimensions too. I'd love to do that, absolutely. So, long story short, guys, I definitely think LEGO Dimensions is a massive example of a game that deserves a sequel, and I'd love to talk more about LEGO Dimensions too, but we'd be here all day, because there's so much I'd love to talk about, you know, missions I've already planned out, characters I'd include, and all that. But that's all I can say for now in summary, as much as I can for now. If I said it more, we'd probably be here all day. So that's me covering why, in my opinion, LEGO Dimensions is an example of a game that deserves sequels. So, you know the drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to tell us in the comments what you guys think of LEGO Dimensions. Do you need a sequel or not? Leave in the comments below. Also, be sure to join Team Prime by pressing subscribe if it's coming in the future. And I'll see you all later.